Uh, we worked on it for as long as we could, but we are able to see her slideshow. So an anonymous presenter is with you here today.
I'm incognito.
She's incognito. She wants her identity kept secret. That's what we'll say. But we're happy to have her here and happy to learn more about her topic. Leah, do you have a more fleshed out biography you'd like to share with us?
Well, I'm going to let her fill in since we're starting a minute late, but she is the senior nurse at the UAMS Institute on Aging, a senior nurse educator, and she's going to talk to us about over-the-counter medications and what older adults need to know about. Are you going to be talking to us about fraud and dietary supplements as well, Dr. Gibson?
I'm going to include all of that.
All that. All right. I'm going to get out of the way and let you proceed. Then we cannot see you, but we can hear you. So you just take off.
This is funny. Okay. So like I said, I'm Regina Gibson and I'm the assistant professor and senior nurse educator here. Our opioid prevention for aging and longevity program made this possible. You know, the grant we received from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration through the Division of Aging, Adult and Behavioral Health Services. And we're at the Institute on Aging on the UAMS campus. So what I want to ask you is how many times, let me show you the objectives first. So you should be able to identify the most frequent users of non-prescription medicines, and including dietary supplements, describe some dangers that over-the-counter medicines present for older adults, and list some possible serious side effects of some common over-the-counter medicines, and cite some serious concerns with dietary supplements. People don't often give much thought to over-the-counter medicines because they think they're just relatively safe. So I just got a pop up on my screen that says join with video. So maybe they'll let me in soon. So did you know that older adults aged 65 and older make up only 16%, which is about 52.4 million of the nation's population, but they buy 40% of all over-the-counter medicines.
Hold on just a minute. I think we accidentally got you in the class twice. I'm not sure how.
I'm not sure how.
So if you can leave the meeting and then come back, that may be the best for us.
What would you want me to do?
Hold on just a second. I may have solved it. I put your other device in the waiting room.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Use twice as many over-the-counter medicines compared to the use of prescription medicines. Just like over-the-counter medicines, they can be bought online elsewhere, you know, without a prescription. And they come in different forms, suppositories, you know, patches, pills, and there's no watching over who buys what as far as over-the-counter medicine. So people can self-medicate whenever they think they have a certain problem. You know, some of these common over-the-counter medicines like aspirin, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, cough syrups, vitamins, and other dietary supplements. Now, a global report on over-the-counter market states that countries such as the US and Japan and Germany and the UK contribute maximally to worldwide over-the-counter drug sales. In the US alone, there are more than 80 classes of over-the-counter drugs, amounting up to 1 million marketed products. So you want to ask yourself, are over-the-counter medicines and dietary supplements safe for older adults? Well, sometimes and sometimes not. It's a roll of the dice. Just because a prescription is not needed doesn't mean they're safer or have fewer side effects than prescription medicines. And that's something that many older adults do not realize. That's why it's so important for us to encourage older adults to report all medicines that they're currently taking to their healthcare providers, even those, especially those over the counter, and always read the directions and the warning label. And when deciding on over the counter medicines, you know, like I said earlier, that they self-medicate. We self-medicate without input from our healthcare provider. Pharmacists are in a position to assist older adults when they're in the OTC aisle, but the pharmacist doesn't always know the full medical history like the PCP does. The PCP, primary care physician, is where the decision to use over-the-counter medicines should come from. And when you're thinking about medicines in general, as we get older, just like the outside, the internal doesn't work as well as it did when you were younger. And that means the liver and kidneys in an older person don't work as well to clear medicines from the body as a younger person, And then you have problems with memory, maybe hearing and visual difficulties make it harder to understand and remember instructions. In addition, weight loss, reduced muscle mass and more fatty tissue and changes in body composition and less fluid in the body all affect how drugs absorbed and work. And then older adults have multiple chronic conditions that require several different drugs, and that may also affect body functions and raise the risk of unwanted reactions to a drug. Drugs, as for reading the food label, will tell you where they should be taken with food, because some foods in the digestive tract can affect how a drug is absorbed. And some medicines, even over-the-counter medicines, may also affect the way nutrients are absorbed or used by the body. So what makes OTC medicine unsafe for older adults? And on your slides, I included combined with prescription. I'm not saying that, anti-anxiety and muscle relaxants and sleep medicine are over-the-counter, because they're not. But when you combine over-the-counter medicines for pain, cough, cold symptoms, and allergies with anti-anxiety and muscle relaxants and sleep medicine, they can cause serious reactions in older adults, sometimes requiring hospitalization. And here's some of the subsequent things that could happen when you combine those with, falls. Falls is the number one thing for older adults, falls that usually result in broken bones, and it could mean a nursing home admission, hospital stay, or rehab. Drops in blood pressure, delirium, confusion, kidney liver failure, with some of the common over-the-counter medicines like ibuprofen and acetaminophen. And they can cause irregular heart rate or worsening heart failure in some older adults. I wanted to put this in here because constipation is normally a problem of some older adults, because the intestines kind of slow down when people are not that active in their older life. And so that affects how the bowels function. So but they don't always consult their health provider when they have prolonged constipation. And over-the-counter laxatives are plenty. So they may buy over-the-counter laxatives, but instead of helping, it may make their problem worse. There's prolonged constipation accompanied by these symptoms that you see: loss of appetite, vomiting, inability to have a bowel movement or pass gas, along with pain and swelling. They may be signs of an intestinal obstruction that over-the-counter laxatives won't help. And I've put this little picture in here to show you that prolonged constipation could be an indication of a volvulus. That's a twisting of the bowel, as you see in this right here, twisted the bowel, or intussusception. And that's when one part of the bowel just slides into another part. Laxatives will not help these, and that person needs to get medical or surgical treatment. And all these other diverticulitis, tumor adhesions, they can all be the culprit for the prolonged constipation, but still needs to be treated by a doctor. So here's some commonly misused over-the-counter medicines: cough and cold syrups, cold medicines like dextromethorphan, DXM, and pseudoephedrine. I know that in most stores, even at Walmart, you have to be 21 to buy cough and some cold medicines, because some of them have some opioid derivatives in them, like codeine. And even antidiarrheal medicines, they're commonly overused. Pain relievers like acetaminophen and ibuprofen, they may be used sometimes indiscriminately. So let me talk about non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and I've been mentioning some, like the ibuprofen. So the FDA has approved non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs that I'll just refer to as NSAIDs, as antipyretic, anti-inflammatory, and analgesics. And there are over 900 over-the-counter meds that contain NSAIDs. And they're also available and most useful for treating pain due to soft tissue injuries and osteoarthritis. And some can be administered IV. and used as opioid sparing agents in some severe cases. But these are the NSAIDs that are approved in the United States. And I'm sure you've probably seen most of these. Um, most of these are frequently used, like the aspirin, the Proxen, diclofenac, another name Voltaren, and it comes in a cream, ibuprofen, and acetaminophen. We have to caution older adults to choose over-the-counter medicines that only have the ingredients needed. For example, if an older adult is using Tylenol for pain, warn them against interchanging it with Tylenol PM because that has an antihistamine in it that can promote drowsiness and increase the risk for falls. So what they need to do is look at the drug facts. And I just chose this one drug fact on chlorpheniramine maleate. It's an antihistamine. But if you look at the warnings, you have to ask the doctor before before use, if you have glaucoma, breathing problems such as emphysema or COPD, or trouble urinating due to an enlarged prostate gland. And then you have to ask yourself, how many older adults with these problems talk to a doctor before taking an antihistamine for some type of allergy problem? And then when you look at the problem facts too, when using this product, drowsiness may occur. Avoid alcoholic drinks, sedatives, tranquilizers. So it's really important for them to look at the directions and the drug facts and all the warnings. And I admit, I have in the past purchased over-the-counter medicines without really looking at the drug facts, because they make that print so small. I mean, the older I get, the more I cannot read it. But I invested in magnifying glass, so I read them well now. So chronic long-term abuse of over-the-counter medicines can lead to memory loss, worsening heart failure if you have heart problems, liver damage, GI bleeding and ulceration. There's an increased chance of arrhythmias, and with arrhythmias, there's an increased risk for stroke. And medicines like ibuprofen can raise the blood pressure. If you already have hypertension, it can raise the blood pressure. And then there's the OTC drug addiction and kidney damage. Most over-the-counter NSAIDs reduce the blood flow to the kidneys. The fluid builds up, and that's what drives up the blood pressure. So unless approved by the healthcare provider, older adults should really not use ibuprofen, ketoprofen, or naproxen sodium. They produce more side effects than most people realize. People with hypertension should use acetaminophen or possibly aspirin unless contraindicated for OTC pain relief. Now, aspirin is the best known over-the-counter product on the market. The geriatricians, particularly here at UAMS, consider it the safest over-the-counter painkiller for older adults with chronic pain. It's non-aspirin, and it reduces fever, and it is found in over 600 prescriptions and OTC medicines such as Darvocet, Percocet, Excedrin, Sudafed, Theraflu. So they have to be really, it's something to really think about, because over-the-counter medicines can be just as dangerous as prescription or other medicines if not used appropriately. So we want them to read the drug labels for directions and warnings and check the expiration dates on medicine. And when you're getting rid of unused medicines, even over-the-counter medicines, or prescription medicines, they need to go in drug drop boxes or drug take-back events. You know, we recently had a take-back event here on the UAMS campus of the Institute on Aging, and we involved the law enforcement, and anybody, anywhere can drop their medicines off. We have a box right outside the longevity clinic. Drugs should not be tossed down the kitchen sink or flushed down the toilet. So drugs that are flushed down the toilet, they can be detected in streams miles downstream from wastewater treatment plants. And many plants do not routinely remove pharmaceuticals from water because they're not designed to do so. So that mainly just to encourage them not to flush them down the toilet or put them down the sink, because they can end up in our drinking water. And if you can't read this cartoon is saying the guy is ordering a glass of ice water, and the waitress said, well, you may need a prescription with that because some drugs do come through our drinking water. And this other little cartoon is studies have shown that flushing meds into the waterways can harm aquatic life. These fish are discussing that. And then this other fish comes out with an assortment, a variety of tumors and everything over them. So these toxic medicines can end up in landfills. They seep into the ground and nearby water systems. So that's an inappropriate disposal practice. Is flushing unwanted drugs or excess drugs down the toilet, sink, or discarding them into household waste. So this is a picture of part of our team in law enforcement at the Take Back event we most recently had in October. So when it comes to storing medicines, they need to be stored according to the directions on the label. Don't store in the refrigerator unless the label directs. Heat, light, air, and moisture can damage medicines. And it's best to put them in a cool, dry place, like a dresser drawer, kitchen cabinet, or away from the heat. And that says heart there, but I meant heat, moisture, a locked box or box or storage box. I mean, one of our funders said that she was with the Division of Aging Adult Behavioral Services, Health Services, said that she went to a lady's house to take her a locked box, and that lady was in the process of having her house up for sale, so people were in and out. And so she went in there and she noticed that the lady had her medicines all on the kitchen counter. So when the lady turned her head, she just scooped up the medicines and put them in her purse. And then she went back and asked the lady, where were her medicines? And she said, well, they were right here. And then she proceeded to take them out of her purse and tell that it's not safe to store medicines out in the public like that, because anyone, even family, can come in. If you have opioid prescription medications there, they can take those, or children. So storing is very important. The best place to store medicines is not in the bathroom. That's the first place people look. So I'm going to talk just briefly about opioid pain medicines. You know, opioids is an entire presentation alone, but briefly speaking, continued use of, I want to say, prescription opioids can result in tolerance, where they need more and more of the drug to get the same relief they did at the outset. It can result in physical and psychological dependence, and in general, a decline in the quality of life. And we hear it all the time that addiction can occur in less than 5 to 7 days. You know, years ago when people had operations, surgery, and they were given prescriptions for opioids, most would get a 30-day supply. That doesn't happen anymore. They'll get either 3 to 5 day supply, and opioid prescriptions are monitored by the Physician Monitoring Drug Program, Arkansas, and they will tap physicians on the shoulder when they notice one patient is frequently taking opioids, getting opioid prescriptions renewed. So those are monitored very closely, and the docs here at the geriatric clinic also monitor opioid prescription drug use among their patients. Chronic long-term use of opioids can be associated with constipation, slowed breathing, falls, resulting in fractures, overdose, and coma. So I have to talk about Narcan because it's a rescue drug. It's an antidote for opioid, a rescue drug for bad reaction or accidental overdose, and a kit can be obtained without a prescription from most pharmacies. And anyone taking prescription opioids should have this kit at home. And it has been able to be approved without a prescription since April 2017. It comes in a nasal spray, a ready-to-use injection, and the nasal spray is the easiest to use. But it is only effective in reversing overdose or bad reaction from opioids. So more information about Narcan is available at the rtakeback.org. And that's not supposed to be a comma, but a period, rtakeback.org/Narkansas//. So as far as dietary supplements, I wish this was just in person so I could ask how many of you take dietary supplements. I took a lot of supplements before I start doing this presentation. Then I stopped for a while, and then I started back on the ones that I really needed. So the aging population is the most eager consumer of, instead of OD, supplements. Americans buy $37 billion worth of nutritional supplements a year, ranging from simple vitamins and mineral pills to sleep aids like melatonin, muscle powders, memory enhancers, and manufacturers mainly target the aging population. There was a report from 2017 to 2018 that showed that 81% of adults aged 55 and older used supplements in 2020, and most for women. Now, if supplements were regulated by the Food and Drug Administration as medicine instead of food, manufacturers would need to prove their products are safe before they come to the market. As of yet, they don't. Supplements do not go through the rigorous process as medicines do, like with clinical trials, like to determine the safety and efficacy. The FDA relies on the manufacturer based on the policies they set, the FDA set, to make sure the drugs are safe before they go to the market. Now, here is a graph of the trends in the use of dietary supplements during 2017 to 2018. And as you can see, that 60 and older group, the most frequent and most users of supplements, 74%. And here we are 5 years later, 4 to 5 years later, they still are at 81%, 55 years and older. It seems like when people are getting older, they want to hold on to their healthy status, and they want to be younger. And I mean, I know that they want to be healthy, but things just, that's why they use more supplements, I think, to stay healthy and to be as healthy as they were when they're younger. So there are tens of millions of dollars being spent on ineffective or even dangerous supplements that older adults can ill afford. And in some cases, the users of these supplements are missing out on approved treatments or remedies by taking supplements with life-threatening ingredients or using them in high-risk combination with prescription drugs. Now, herbal and other dietary supplements, as I stated a little bit earlier, are over-the-counter medicines that are not approved by the Food and Drug Administration, I'll say FDA from now. They are regulated as food products, not medicines, and the list is really long, as you can see. And even though they may be bought over the counter, the FDA does not review them for safety and effectiveness, and they can cause a plethora of side effects, interact with prescription and other OTC medicines, and worsen a health condition. Now, the FDA regulates policies for dietary supplements, but they do not police them. Manufacturers are expected to follow policies as they are responsible for making sure their products are safe. Now, FDA will become involved with the safety of a supplement if there's a complaint by a consumer or a caregiver or another product manufacturer. And they are thoroughly, trust me, they are thoroughly investigated by the FDA. And then the Federal Trade Commission administers consumer protection laws and sends warning letters to companies about their products. And frequently, and I mean frequently, awards millions of dollars to consumers because of bogus claims of some dietary supplements. They may seem harmless, and some may have proven benefits, but many do not. Even natural supplements can be risky, depending on the medicine a person is taking or any other medical condition they have. And there are extra ingredients. Extra ingredients can cause serious side effects or interact in dangerous ways with prescription medicines or other supplements. And I was also, as I was researching this, they said different batches of the same medicine can have different ingredients. Now, people have suffered stroke or kidney failure, cardiac arrhythmias, heart attack, pulmonary embolus, and some people have died. But all supplements can be harmful, and I'll get on to the beneficial later. But vitamin K can reduce the ability of the blood thinner warfarin to prevent blood from clotting. Ginkgo, ginger, ginkgo biloba, garlic, ginger, ginkgo biloba, and ginseng can cause the risk of bleeding in people taking blood thinners. That's something to consider. Too much vitamin A can cause headaches and liver damage and reduce bone strength. Antioxidant supplements such as vitamin C and E might reduce the effectiveness of some types of cancer chemotherapy. In recent years, hundreds of supplements have been found to be contaminated with drugs and other chemicals, including pesticides. As I said earlier, extra ingredients are not listed on the label. But supplements can also be beneficial. Some supplements can help a person get adequate amounts of essential nutrients if they are not eating a healthy diet. Some can improve overall health and help manage some health conditions like calcium and vitamin D keeps bones strong and reduce bone loss. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish oils may help some people with heart disease. And a combination of vitamin C, E, zinc, copper, lutein, and zeaxanthin, often called AREDS, may slow down further vision loss in people with age-related macular degeneration. But other supplements need more study to see if they have any value. So what about vitamin supplements? There are 13 essential vitamins that the body absolutely needs, that A, C, D, E, K, and the B vitamins, including B1, B6, and B12. Vitamins have different jobs to help keep the body functioning, and some vitamins help us resist infections and keep the nerves healthy, and while others may help the body get energy from food or help your blood clot properly. But by following dietary guidelines, a person should get enough of most of these vitamins. Some supplements may be warranted in some older adults. Age-related changes such as tooth loss, chronic illness, and changes in appetite can impact the amount of nutrients the body absorbs or a person's ability to eat certain foods. In this case, older adults may need to take a vitamin and mineral supplement to get what they need to maximize their health and stay as active as possible. But they should be advised to always consult their physician before making any dietary changes, including vitamin mineral supplements. Potassium assists multiple vital functions, including heart and kidney function, nerve transmission, and muscle contraction. According to the dietary guidelines for Americans, people should follow a healthy dietary pattern every stage of life and focus on meeting food groups with nutrient-dense foods and beverages and stay within calorie limits. The core food groups are vegetables, fruits, grains, protein, dairy, and oils. That is the preferred way to get the necessary nutrients. So this is something that I really want to just expound on. Advertisements for dietary supplements. You have to be aware of advertisements and TV radio commercials about supplements that claim to improve memory or cure disease. Companies are prohibited from claiming that their supplements can treat or prevent a particular disease or any type of dementia. So if you look on the bottle for most vitamins and supplements, in a little rectangular box, there is a statement that says, the FDA requires a disclaimer on supplements that states this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, despite what the advertisements say, because only a drug can legally make that claim, and it should have a stamp of approval. Now, the Federal Trade Commission protects consumers by stopping unfair, deceptive, or fraudulent practices in the marketplace. It conducts investigations of fraudulent claims, sues companies and people that violate the law, and develops rules to ensure a vibrant marketplace. Someone told me that when Zantac was determined to be harmful and they supposedly took it off the market, the company came back with a different name. So we have to watch out for things that happen like that. But the FTC also educates consumers and businesses about their rights and responsibilities and enforces antitrust laws that prohibit anti-competitive mergers and other business practices that can lead to higher prices, fewer choices, and less innovation. So here's some false claims. Boosts memory or heads off or reverses Alzheimer's and related dementia. There's no such thing. Cures diabetes. Relieves menopause. Menopause is a natural thing. Most women have to go through it. Prevents gray hair or restores the natural color. Well, if you can see the screen right now, my hair is salt and pepper. It promises a quick and easy solution for arthritis, cancer, and other chronic illnesses. No. Products that claim to remove toxins from the body. You know, the liver is the main detoxifying organ in the body. And then you have, lungs, your lymphatic system, even the skin and the kidneys. Keep in mind that product manufacturers pay people to promote their products. They'll have this kindly looking older person saying this and that about a product. Don't believe them. They get paid to do that. So let me talk about the Nariva nonsense, because it is what it is. Nariva has not been clinically tested to do what it says it can do. It's made by the same company that made airborne effervescent, for which the FTC refunded $30 million back to consumers in 2008. They say it contains an extract from coffee, phosphatidylglycerine, that allegedly makes you smarter. Dietary supplements cannot increase this in your brain. There's a new snake ointment in town, and it's designed to empty your purse. Prevagen nonsense. The FTC and the New York Attorney General's office sued the marketers of Prevagen for false claims that Prevagen can improve memory loss and support brain health. And according to the FTC, a study found that Prevagen did not impact brain functions advertised. And FTC is seeking to refund $165 million to people who bought the product. So you have to beware of fake testimonials. Health fraud trades on false hope, promising a quick and easy solution for a variety of problems, but do not deliver a cure. Fraudulently marked products can have dangerous interactions with prescription medicines and can keep people from getting a proper diagnosis and treatment. And the people seen on commercials, they're not real people. I mean, they're real people in the sense that they're human, but they're paid actors who receive good money to make false claims about products. And you can search anything on this presentation, search the FDA website or the FTC website, and you will see all of these claims, bogus claims about certain supplements and how harmful certain supplements are, and if people have been awarded money for the bogus false hopes and advertisements. So we have to remember to encourage older adults to ask the healthcare provider or pharmacist about over-the-counter medicines before they buy them, and to fill all the prescriptions at one pharmacy. And every time they go to the doctor, we take a list of all the medicines for every visit with any healthcare provider, and encourage them to read the label, heed the warnings, and not take more medicine than directed. And to remind them that dietary supplements are not always safe or harmless. They're not all created equal. There's some good and there's some bad. And manufacturers don't always tell the truth about their products, because if they did, you would not buy them. I know that was quick, but I wanted to stay within my time frame. I did a lot of, I erased a lot of some of the common advertisements that people say about certain supplements, but that's what I have. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer some. So I want to thank you.
Thank you very much. This is Leah. I have a question. Is aspirin okay, even though it's not Tylenol?
Aspirin, can cause bleeding. So if you have any problems like GI diseases, like ulcers or anything with your bowel that may precipitate bleeding, I wouldn't advise aspirin. The doctor needs to let them know that. But some people take aspirin for their heart, like preventive type baby aspirin or so. But it depends on the health conditions. Aspirin is relatively safe, but it can cause bleeding. Like you're going to have surgery, they say stop ibuprofen, that most of the NSAIDs and aspirin 7 days before any surgery, but it's safe to take Tylenol. Did I answer your question?
I think this is Judy. Go ahead and unmute.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. So are there other questions?
Janet Janet is asking, and y'all can jump in here. You don't have to have me read your questions because I know you've got good ones. Oh, let me get back up here. Janet says, do you recommend multiple vitamins or any other supplement? Do you have any recommendations?
I don't have any recommendations. I would get that from the physician, but if you're eating a healthy diet, according to the dietary guidelines, you don't really need a multivitamin unless you've been determined to have, like your vitamin B12 level is low, or your B1 vitamins, B1, B6, or you need some vitamin D because maybe you have osteoporosis or something of that nature. So I would talk to the doctor. Most women have bone density tests every year or so, and they can tell by some of your tests and blood work what you're deficient in. And you may just need to talk to a dietitian and just get a good meal plan out to try to meet those necessary nutrients.
Becky, I asked you to unmute because I thought maybe you could ask your question better than I could read it. Do you want to ask your question?
Okay, did I go away?
No, I just was waiting on Becky. She says, I think doctors would want to recommend you get off supplements and on to more prescriptions. Sometimes prescriptions have side effects though, and interaction. So there's kind of a, depends on where you are, your particular health situation. And then Anne is concerned because Tylenol can cause liver damage. So we've got that too, even though it's.
But people sometimes people take Tylenol, take Tylenol, just around the clock. No, you don't do that. I mean, you get the instruction from your physician as to how to take Tylenol.
Mm-hmm.
It's just taking too much Tylenol.
Right.
Okay. And
is melatonin good for sleep?
You know what? They recommend melatonin a lot. Some people swear by it, but I can't swear by it because it gives me a headache. If it works for you, fine. But I would still let the doctor know that you're taking it. Okay.
Edwina, you were unmuted. Did you have a question? Edwina?
Oh, I was going to ask about CoQ10.
Yeah, go ahead. Jump in there.
It's touted as helping be a brain supplement, so.
Well.
And for the heart.
Well, who put you on that?
Actually,
your doctor ordered?
Yes. Yes.
Well, if the doctor orders it and you use it as he says, it may not. I really don't know. I can't even answer truthfully to that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
No, you're welcome. I'm not going to make up anything.
What about
there's go ahead.
Prebiotic and probiotic dietary supplements?
Well, the verdict is still out, but they can be useful in a lot of situations. I looked at that and I was trying to find a previous presentation where I addressed that. But so far I don't see it. But a probiotic, that just, but you have to think about it too. You're changing the bacteria in your gut when you take a probiotic. So I would just do some research on the usefulness of probiotics, and you can go on the FDA website too.
What's your opinion about that, Dr. Slater?
I just asked the question.
I know, but I'm asking it back.
Well, tell me about it, because I want to know too.
I'm trying to learn from Regina.
Okay. I want to learn from you.
I don't have any special knowledge on that. I can't help, sorry.
All right. Judy has her hand raised. Go ahead, Judy.
Most medications, whether they're prescription or over the counter, do not indicate that they should be taken with or without food. Does that mean that most should be taken with food unless they say not to?
No, it's just that you can take them unless it say take with food. If they don't want you to take it with food, they will tell you. But if they don't say that, then it's safe to take them at whatever time. What
Okay.
about, what's that? Do you agree, Dr. Slater?
I'm listening to you, Regina. You're
Oh,
the,
I put you on the spot. I apologize. We won't put you on the spot anymore.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Janet, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of times about kidney damage. That's kind of curious to me. Do you happen to know of any specific types of meds that might cause it, or is it just a general statement that any of them might?
Ibuprofen. And some of the NSAIDs, if you take too many of them, they don't recommend ibuprofen, naproxen, those for older adults because of what it does to the kidney. And it fluid builds up in the kidney and it raises blood pressure as well.
What does
So-
NSAID stand for?
non-steroidal.
Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs.
Okay.
On Facebook, someone asked if acetaminophen, is that an NSAID or no?
Well, you know what? Yes. No. It acts like an NSAID. But really, it really is not an NSAID. It's in a class all by itself. That's why it's safer to take Tylenol, that you can take Tylenol before surgery than the NSAIDs. Acetaminophen doesn't cause bleeding. But I had in my presentation that it acts like an NSAID, and I took it out because they treat it like an NSAID. But it's not.
Yeah, I've been
Does that
thinking during your presentation and remembering when my grandmother, she had kind of a late stage diagnosis of Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put her on whatever medicine you take for Parkinson's, but didn't take her off anything else she had been taking her whole life. And she had moved from one part of the state to the other, so had new physicians and new pharmacists. She ended up having to spend a few days in a psych unit because of all the interactions. And I don't remember what they were on, but as a college student, I remember looking up in the physician's reference and clearly seeing at 20 something, this is not indicated to take with this, and I just thought that, and she recovered once they got it sorted out. She was okay, but I thought that was so, no one had evil intentions for that to happen. That happened so easily. She was doing everything that was prescribed to her, but the interactions were really potentially dangerous.
Right. And see, she take her list of medicine. Do they review her medicines?
Well, somebody missed it. I mean, I don't know.
I was just going to point out, the older you get, the more specialists you have, and the more important it is to have a list of medicines and what your current doses are and when you take them, along with all the supplements that you think, oh, well, I'm just taking that melatonin at night and that's no big deal. It might be a big deal with something. So.
Yeah, the interactions are really important.
Yeah, and years and years ago, decades ago, I just love the concept of primary care because that primary care physician knows everything. And even now, when it's necessary to refer a patient to a specialist, that specialist will make sure that that primary care physician gets a copy of those notes. I hope that's being done because older adults can't keep up with all the stuff that they're taking.
It gets hard.
And all the side effects and everything. And here we have we do a daily care plan in the longevity clinic, complete plan of care that has a patient's name, all the medicines they take, what they take it for, and when to take it, the dose to take it, everything. And so they can refer back to it because it's hard to keep all of that in place.
Okay, well, we are out of time. I want to invite you, Dr. Gibson, to come back and speak to us in person. You're such an engaged presenter, and I feel like we've missed half of your presentation because we couldn't see you. So we're going to enjoy meeting you in person in a future, hopefully sooner than later term. Is that okay with you?
That's fine, and I'm going to check with my IT department to see what's wrong with my computer.
Well, we saw the presentation and we could hear you just fine, but I would love to see you in person and bring you back.
Well, I'm looking at y'all's beautiful faces, and I want y'all to see mine too.
I know, we missed out. So we'll
I
invite you
can,
back.
listen, I can speak for the beautiful face.
Yeah.
I have met Regina in person, and she's delightful. And I'm so glad she was able to share this presentation with everybody today.
Oh,
Very-
thank you so much. I enjoy what I'm doing. And look, we have, I have an opioid pain medicine presentation, and it covers a lot, even the body systems, how opioids can affect each system. And then we have we have a lot of booklets. If you all want some of our literature, you can visit our www.aging@uams.edu. We have books on optimum nutrition, over-the-counter medicine, falls, delirium, and we have flyers on all of the opioids can interfere with your sleep. It can affect your heart. It can make you fall. It can make it harder for you to go. I mean, so much information. We'd be glad to share that with you. I mean, happy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yep.
much. Well, you have a passion for your work, and we appreciate you sharing it with us. And we will invite you back. We learned a lot today. And thanks. I know it was a short presentation, but we really appreciate you for coming and sharing it with us. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'll email you, Leah, okay?
Okay. Yeah. Email it to me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's the computer problem.